Hello, and welcome back to my long-abandoned channel. It's that time of year where I pop in to comment on the madness that is E3. This year I'm hoping to use the hype surrounding the event to get on a regular and more consistent posting schedule, both here on my channel, on my blog, and streaming. But we can talk about all the things that are going to come in the future on Wednesday when I wrap up E3, what my thoughts were in general, and talk about what's coming in the days, months, weeks, hopefully years to come. So let's get started with the EA Play 2018 press conference. Okay, let's get into the existential whiplash that was this press conference. I'm not quite sure I've ever yo-yoed from get on this hype train to genuine WTF disappointment as much as any time in any E3 conference as I did today. There is only one game I'm genuinely hyped about, without any reservations or disappointment. To be fair, I didn't start off this E3 on such a great foot. I was about 10 minutes from my house at 10:50 getting coffee when I realized the conference started at 11 and not noon. Oops. So I sprinted home listening to the stream on my phone in the most comically hard rain shower I've ever seen to get back just in time for the very odd Star Wars bit. I missed Battlefront and FIFA, and I've gone back and checked that part out, but it really isn't for me. I'm probably gonna buy Battlefront because I like that franchise, but I have enough information to be on board with it. You're probably wondering why I'm showing you this awesome concept art from Star Wars: A Galaxy's Edge. The reason is EA thought the best way to inform us about the new Star Wars game was have the head of Respawn Studios just tell us about it. Okay, so let's go over the good. What they told us sounded awesome. They didn't tell us a lot beyond the title. Fallen Jedi Order. It involves Order 66. It happens between episodes 3 and episodes 4. The bad news? That's literally all they told us about this. No trailer, no concept art, no hype. Just a dude talking to the show host about a video game. Using words to describe a visual medium. I know that the Star Wars fandom has been under a lot of scrutiny and has been a hot button issue, but I, for the life of me, do not understand how EA gets away with it so easy. Yes, Battlefront 2 got a lot of hate from the community, but it wasn't because it was bad or EA hasn't put out very many games. It was because of how ham-fisted they made the loot boxes and how they were trying to milk the fandom for money. This contract is a nightmare. I can't imagine that Disney or Lucasfilms is okay with how EA has plotted out a Star Wars game every other year. The thing that's upsetting is that Battlefront 2 was actually pretty good. The story was really great. I enjoyed the combat, but nobody played it. The stories tied into the novels, which as someone who reads them, all of them, was awesome. I just want to play video games in a galaxy far, far away, and not first-person shooters. Actual video games with story and narrative and all the cool RPG elements that would make for an awesome Star Wars game. So EA barely let me recover from the derailed hype train that was talking about a new Star Wars game before serving up another one in the form of Battlefront 2's Clone Wars season. Clone Wars is one of my favorite things about Star Wars. It's arguably the best thing we've gotten from the prequels. And Clone Wars cartoon also introduced one of my favorite characters in the entire galaxy, Ahsoka Tano. So when they announced that they were adding new Clone Wars era heroes and villains to Battlefront 2, I was excited that maybe, just maybe, I would get to play as Ahsoka. But nope. Instead of doing the normal 3 heroes, 3 villains, they went this time with 2 heroes and 2 villains. Anakin and Obi-Wan, Dooku and Grievous. Seriously, this was a perfect opportunity to extend an olive leaf about that botched launch of a game and add one of the fandom's most beloved female characters. And nope, it just didn't happen. It's beyond frustrating. Now let's get to the one bright spot of my excitement. The EA original Sea of Solitude. This indie game has such gorgeous art style, and I'm drawn to the themes and stories the developer wants to tell. That being lonely turned this woman into a monster. Literally. We're gonna follow her as she becomes a monster, but more importantly, we're going to try to make her human again. The developer's honest passion and drive came through, and EA Originals are usually the highlight, and seriously, the only thing I really like about EA conferences. I'm not going to talk about the mind-numbing bits on Madden and that weird Command and Conquer game. Just look at the beautiful art of Sea of Solitude. Alright, it's time to talk about Anthem. As a rabid and devoted BioWare fan, I've been leery of this game since it was announced. It has always felt like EA shoehorning a vision that isn't what BioWare is about. But to be fair, this press conference portion of the Anthem news today got me in all the right places. It was working all of my soft spots. That deep dive panel into the lore and how Anthem was built and how it was was a little bit cagey for my liking, but it was still giving me all the cues of what I thought I loved about BioWare games. Epic world building, dynamic stories, companions, relationships, characters you love. You can see my epic hype meltdown on Twitter as they are showing this game. All of that hype, all of that goodwill was undercut in one tweet. What in the actual frick, BioWare? I'm sorry. A BioWare game without romance is kind of like a first-person shooter without a gun. You are the studio that let us live out our fantasy of romancing someone in a galaxy far, far away. You somehow shoehorned romance into a licensed Star Wars game, for crying out loud. There are plenty of studios that are giving good storytelling RPGs with characters we like nowadays. The romance that was inclusive and continually thoughtful on the points of consent and actually building meaningful romance was like one of your defining characteristics. It feels like such a giant regression to me in the terms of games mechanics. And I know that people who loved the very RPG heavy game mechanics of BioWare have been complaining about this for quite some time. But Anthem felt like a fresh take on the Monster Hunter, Destiny, Division type game as service, right? With all the flair and charm of BioWare. Except that you hacked out half of the flair and charm of BioWare when you cut out the romance. I am beyond disappointed right now. But I am sure as February 22nd gets closer and closer, I will eventually become more excited to play this game. I do enjoy Destiny and I enjoy Monster Hunter, so I do enjoy these kind of games. It's just that I was hoping for something that had that spark. It was going to be a perpetual BioWare game where they were going to add things to the story, which means we were going to get to see more of your romance, like, grow. When you say BioWare is going to make a game as service, I get excited because that means living in those worlds longer. I play every DLC that comes out for a BioWare game. I romance several people, play the games multiple times. I just love being in the world and the characters. And developing relationships, both platonic and romantic, is really what makes me connected to those games. Because let's be honest, sometimes the combat isn't the greatest. Mass Effect 1's a terrible nightmare. Dragon Age Inquisition feels almost a little too MMO. So getting closer to this game, the preview coverage is going to have to be phenomenal. What we see for a story trailer, I'm assuming at the Game Awards in December, is going to have to blow my mind. It is going to be a Herculean task to pull my expectation of this game out of the gutter and up to a even marginal level of what I would have for BioWare. So that's my feelings about Anthem. It's not great. I was so excited. I honestly, like I said, I don't think I've ever had Whiplash that bad. I don't think I have ever been hyped up for something so bad, heard all the things I thought was going to like check off all the boxes I thought were going to satisfy my need to play this game, only to have them to come out not less than 30 minutes after the press conference and dash most of my hopes. So that's it for EA Play this year. It doesn't leave a good feeling in the pit of my stomach. This is not how I wanted to start EA out. If you know me, I try to make as positive videos as I can, but I can only comment on what EA gave us. And EA, I don't know who they think their customer is. I think they think that people who are tuned into gaming culture give a shit about their sports games, but no one I know does, and every time they come up, people roll their eyes and get shitty and snarky on Twitter. So I think at this point it's too much to ask that next year's EA Play press conference will be better. They're just going to keep doing what they do. So that's it. I'm hoping Xbox and Bethesda can bring the heat tomorrow and jack up my excitement for E3, because this is not a great start. So I'll see you tomorrow in the afternoon for the Xbox conference, and there'll be a second video at night after the Bethesda conference. Have a great day, guys. Bye.